Hey everyone, I am Jennifer Purcell with Spark Flash Fiction, and I am here today with Kelsey Messner to talk about her story, A Shelved Romance. Kelsey was born an old lady. Rather than rocking to 90s boy bands or collecting makeup in her caboodles box, Kelsey jammed to oldies music and began her collection of vintage teacups at garage sales across northwestern Wisconsin. After graduating from the University of Wisconsin, and I'm going to butcher this, Eau Claire, with a degree in creative writing and library science, she married a tire salesman and moved to upstate South Carolina. A whole lot of sweet tea, y'alls, and 3 kids later, Kelsey stays home with her little crew and writes by twilight, dreaming of readers who will fall in love with her stories. So I always like to open with my favorite question. What was the inspiration behind your story?
Well, first of all, I just loved this prompt. I mean, what reader, what writer wouldn't be excited at the prospect of love between the pages, right? So, in a way, this prompt for me was almost crippling because I was thinking of there's so many different directions you could go, and they're all great and wonderful. So, as I was thinking about it, the first visual I saw was this disheveled young protagonist who's walking into her favorite bookstore as a means of distracting from a broken heart. And so once I had that visual, I just let myself free right from there and found my story.
Well, that is awesome. I love when inspiration strikes with a picture and you get to just go forward with it. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Now, this story is obviously a second chance romance, which a lot of people love. But what is your favorite romance trope?
Well, I am pretty cruisy. I like a lot of different tropes. If they're done well, I'm there for it. But I have always had a soft heart for friends to lovers, especially childhood friends to lovers. I blame that on Anne of Green Gables. I grew up on Anne and Gilbert, and I just absolutely love the progression of their relationship. And I think that both as a reader and as a writer, when you have that space and that time to develop, you get to see two characters who appreciate each other as individuals. And then it's fun to see the different ways that that can grow into a romantic kind of love. So I think if I have to choose a favorite, that would be it.
I have to say, those are really good for those moments where one of the characters realizes that their feelings have shifted. And like, I don't know why, but sometimes those give me like the swooniest heroes when I'm reading those. Like, see those little gestures that he does for her, just kind of like melts my heart.
Exactly. And I think too, especially with that example, I love that as a reader, you fall in love with Gilbert and you're just waiting for Anne to figure it out, right? Like, come on, can't you see how amazing he is? And so it's really fun to kind of see her catch up with that and figure out who she is and how he loves her. So yeah.
Yeah, it took her a little too long though, but it's fine. Um, so what are some sweet romances that you've read recently and enjoyed?
Well, if I can share three, I'll try to make it really quick because
Go for it.
two of them are fellow Spark authors. And so I have to share those in case people haven't read them. One is You and Me for Real by Haley
Oh,
Elliott. Haley is just this lovely, vivacious, sparkly, fun person. And that energy and that light really comes through in her writing. This is a really fun read. It's set in Hollywood. We have a somewhat reclusive dog trainer who inadvertently gets into a relationship with a Hollywood heartthrob. It's just really fun. So this is a really good one. And then also Rachel Lawrence, who also writes for Spark, she had her debut novel come out this year, Seashells and Other Souvenirs. I don't have a physical copy because I read the ebook, but her writing is just lyrical and beautiful. And she does use my favorite trope because Alex and Jude's relationship, they were friends growing up and it develops into more. So it's just real swoony and sweet. And she does a great job with the bigger family dynamics as well. And so it's great. You have to read it. And then also Sense and Suitability by Pepper
Mhm.
Basham. If you haven't read Pepper's book, she's just hilarious. And I love that. So it's not an adaptation of Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility, but it is a nod to her. It's a Regency romance, and it does have that witty banter and playfulness and energy and a great cast of characters and just a delicious romance. So those would be three to recommend.
Man, I am so kind of like in awe of Pepper Basham because it's like no matter what subgenre of romance she decides to write, she's just like fantastic about it. And I'm like, I want to be Pepper when I grow up.
Oh, I know. I got to meet her last year at a conference, and she, those people that you meet and you're like, "Can we just be best friends, please? You're just a really cool person." So, yeah, she's great.
So I'm curious, since we're talking about romances, I know some readers have very strict rules about when they pick up Christmas books. So I'm
Mhm.
curious, where do you fall? Do you wait until Thanksgiving is over, or do you start whenever you feel like it?
Well, I will say that my husband has converted me in this regard because I do really love like all the Christmas things, like the lights, the foods, the music, the books, like all of it. But I love Thanksgiving. And so I think that it is really good to have that season of like, let's focus on Thanksgiving and looking at the things in our life to be thankful for. And maybe that's a call to writers to write more Thanksgiving fiction. I don't know.
No, there aren't enough, I will
Yeah.
say. Y'all heard the challenge, right? I heard the challenge. Did you hear the challenge? I heard the challenge. Speaking of writing, I'm very curious, what does your writing process look like?
Well, in a word, messy. It is it is very different for short fiction versus
Mhm.
full length fiction. So um, when I'm approaching a flash fiction like this, you have the luxury since you're working with 1,000 words of like, hey, I wrote this and it's terrible, and I'm going to write another one, or I'm going to completely change it. And you aren't exerting that much. I mean, you are working, but it doesn't take as long to redirect and change things versus you have a full length manuscript. You got 90,000 bulky, like cumbersome words to work with. You make a change and it's just like, but I would say for both, writing for me is an act of discovery. I liken it to an excavation process where like you see either a character, a moment, and it's very like it's incomplete. It's very, it might be a specific detail, but like you can't see the full picture. You know there's something there. And so for me, writing is that effort of slowly, lovingly digging out what you found and unearthing those little intricate details that eventually will make it come to life and make it beautiful. So it's it's a discovery, it's a process, it's messy.
So would it be safe to say that you are what some people call an organic writer, where you just sit at the computer and see what happens versus being one that tries to plan what you're going to write?
I would say for short fiction, yes, I do sit down and I just let myself free write and find the story and then make it fit the confines of what I need it to be. Like for Spark, I think all of my stories have been exactly 1,000 words because when I write them, they end up being like 1,500 or 2,000. I'm just like whittling it down. Um, and then for longer fiction, I do plot, but I a lot of time like the project I'm working on now, I wrote a draft last year and I had a skeleton in mind of where it was going to go and sort of let the scenes take shape as my characters were making decisions. And then once I realized there were some inherent mistakes, now I'm working on a second draft and going back. But it does still feel like an organic process to me because I think that when you're forcing a plot point, it doesn't work. And you realize
Mhm.
that as you're writing it, this doesn't seem right. The characters, like, it doesn't feel like what they would do. And so when you do find the right direction, the right trajectory for a character's decision-making process, it feels like something that already existed before you found it. Like it is something that was there in the earth, and like I didn't make it, but I found it, and I really love it.
To me, that makes it more real when it's like the character
Mhm.
is telling you what they would do instead of you being like, you have to do this because I said so.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, what is the best piece of writing advice that you were ever given, or maybe you read somewhere?
Yeah, I think that the best thing for me has been allowing myself to write poorly. I
Mhm.
love I love what junior or juvenile fiction author Shannon Hale says. She says that your first draft is digging up sand and putting it in a pile so that later you can build a sand castle. And that's kind of like the excavation thing, right? Like
Mhm.
you have to allow yourself to see it as a process and not expect to see something great the first time. Like maybe you sit down and you say, I'm going to write 1,000 words today. And maybe only 300 of those words end up in your completed piece. And even those words have been edited. So, like, you just have to be okay with I'm digging, I'm dumping a bunch of stuff in, and later I'm going to make it look like the picture that I saw. I'm going to help shape it into what it needs to be. And I think that having that mindset frees you to write and to continue even when it doesn't look like what you want it to look like yet.
Yeah, and I'm curious too, with you being a mom, you don't technically have a schedule. Like you may think your day is going to look one way and then something's going to happen. So how do you find those moments where you can write?
Yeah, I mean, it's ever changing, right? So for me, I'm thankful that I have 2 mornings a week where all three kids are at school. And so that's like, I am not, God bless these women who homeschool their children and they write fiction and publish it. And I'm like, I don't understand how you function. I cannot write when there's too much stimulation. Like, I need it to be quiet. So thankfully, I have those couple hours, but otherwise, a lot of times I do write at night after the kids go to bed. And I'll sit down with my computer. And again, it goes back to that, like, allow yourself to write poorly. I'll sit down and be like, I don't feel creative right now. I'm tired, but I'm going to do it because I love it. And when you get into that flow, it does, there's that joy and that exhilaration and like, oh, it's coming together. I can see it. And so right now it's like little tiny pockets of time. And so, yeah.
Well, little tiny pockets add up eventually to a big manuscript,
Yes.
even if
Yeah,
it takes
that's
a little
true.
bit.
Hopefully.
I have to say, I have a lot of respect for stay-at-home moms because I am my like official title is glorified nanny. I get to watch my nieces and nephew, and I only have them from like 7:30 to 4:30. But just when they go home, I'm exhausted. And I'm like, how are these mothers like feeding their kids supper, getting them in the bed, and then they have energy to do stuff? Like what?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm like you. Like these women are homeschooling their kids and they're putting books out. Like, what are they eating? Like, what do I need to be incorporating? Because I'm not there and I'm not even a mom. So,
Right. It is incredible, isn't it? It's impressive for sure. Yeah.
well, I have to ask you, as someone from Wisconsin who now lives in South Carolina, I'm a little curious if you found any differences because we've all heard the stereotypes about Southern culture and we've all heard the stereotypes about Midwestern culture. And one of the things that I've seen is it seems like Midwesterners are stereotyped as being like very nice and polite. And, Southerners, we're just like, if we're going to say something mean, we have to couch it in something that sounds nice. You know what I mean? Like, bless your heart.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that there are a lot of other differences besides our sweet tea. So I'm curious, is there something when you moved down here that you were like, what? And kind of took you a moment to adjust to?
Yeah. I mean, it could in part be like the town that I grew up in. I don't know. But what I do love about the Midwest is what you see is what you get. Like, the people up there, like if they are kind to you, they're being nice. And if they don't like what you're doing, you will know, but you will also be able to trust when they say something nice to you that they mean it. It's kind of like what you were saying about like, oh, bless your heart, like, you know, which is somewhat true. But I feel like in the South, and this is not across the board, but I do feel like people take a lot of pride in like making things look nice, making themselves look nice. Like the thing that I thought was interesting was the neighborhoods. Like where I grew up, we were like, oh yeah, we live on this street. And down here, we live in Sugar Creek, or we live in this neighborhood. And like, this is our community pool. And it's not that everyone's being uppity about it, but it's like, to me, I'm like, I don't know where your neighborhood is. What street do you live on? Like, that was interesting to me. But, and they take like swim teams real seriously and like sports. And I mean, not that we don't take sports seriously up there, but I don't know. But I do really like it. I like the South. I
You
miss
know
the
what?
North, but I like the South. So
Do you miss the winters? That's what I'm curious about. Do you miss the winters?
I do. Now, if we could like condense the winters, that would be my ideal world. Like it does linger sometimes too long out there, and you're like, hey, it's April. I don't need to see snow anymore. But I do miss it. And like, it's weird for me having my kids have not grown up with that. Like, we've been able to visit when it snows, but it's just different from when it's winter. It gets dark at like 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and you're out there in your snow pants and your boots and building forts. And like, I do miss that. And I miss it for my kids. But, you know, they also get to be outside a better share of the year without freezing off their fingers. So that's nice.
Yeah, very true. And you know what's funny? Growing up in the South, it was years before I realized that not everyone had a similar childhood experience or like did the same things I did. Because I remember one time in college, I had a professor from Ohio, and around my area where I'm from a lot of these small counties. And if you tell people I'm from such and such town, they have no idea what you're talking about. But if you're like, I'm from Habersham County or Raven County, then they're like, oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
So
that's true.
in college, we would be like, yeah, I'm from Habersham, I'm from Raven, I'm from Pickens. And my professor was like, why? When I ask you where you're from, I want to know the town. And I'm like, look, if I tell somebody I'm from Mount Airy, they're going to
They
think
won't.
Lee Griffith. They're going to be
Yeah.
like, you're from Mayberry because they're thinking of Mount Airy, North Carolina. And I'm like, that's not it. This is Georgia. Mount Airy,
Yeah.
Georgia. The only thing that we have to our name is 3 liquor stores and 2 churches on the same street. Like that's what Mount Airy is for.
Well, that sounds like excellent fodder for fiction right there.
Uh, that was a favorite topic when I got to talk to Pepper Basham one time since she's from North Carolina. She thought
Yeah.
that was just so funny. I was like, but anyways, my last Midwesterner related question is there is a
Yeah.
creator online, and I think her handle is like Midwestern Mom. I love watching her. She is delightful. She has a series called Will It Salad, where she makes different salads. And I laughed and I said, we Southerners need one called Will It Casserole. Because we had someone from Pennsylvania at our church and she was like, y'all casserole everything. And we were like, yes, yes, we do.
Because it's a
So,
casserole and it's easy to transport and you can
it,
just dump a bunch of stuff in.
yes, it is. So I'm very curious because I'm nosy. What is a favorite salad of yours that maybe you grew up with that I probably never heard of? And what is a casserole that you enjoy?
Ooh, okay. So my grandma made what is called mystery salad.
Oh,
Yes, it was literally called mystery salad. And it's going to sound gross, and maybe it is, but that's so it was like a tapioca based. It's a sweet salad because I love
mhm,
how salad does not necessarily mean like greens and like fresh
yeah.
produce. So mystery salad was a tapioca base. So it's kind of like the little tiny pearls. It's almost like I don't know if you haven't, maybe you've had tapioca. I thought it was weird, but it's a creamy salad that has like mandarin oranges and marshmallows and like this creamy base. I mean, and pineapple. It sounds weird, but it's good. It is good. And now it's not a mystery. Now you know what it is.
You know.
What's that?
That sounds interesting, though.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting. I wonder who concocted it, but yeah, she would make that pretty often. And then she did do a lot of like potato salad. Like that was her signature thing. That was good. Casserole. I'm trying to think of a good casserole, like a good weird one. Because I feel like my mom actually didn't do a lot of casseroles. She loves cooking, and so she was always making like Thai food or like, I don't know, something interesting. So we didn't do a
Yeah.
lot of casseroles, but my grandma, like, she knew how to do it Midwestern style.
You know, I was surprised when I was in college. My roommate made tater tot casserole, and I was like, "What?" Like, literally took some frozen tater tots and mixed it up with. I think it was like cream and mushroom soup. And you know what? It was good. I would, I would eat it again.
Yeah, no, that is what's funny. There's a lot of those casseroles that you're like, you know what? On paper, it doesn't really sound that good, but it eats and it's hot and it's like, it's good. It's good.
Now, green bean casserole, I won't touch that with a 10-foot pole. I'm like, no, thank you.
I don't care for the crunch on top personally, which I guess is like the whole point, right? Like the crispy onions on
Yeah,
top. Yeah.
I don't like this either.
Uh-uh.
All right. Well, before we go, tell us where is the best place for readers to find you and connect with you and keep up with your writing journey.
Yes. So my website is kelseymessner.com. Pretty easy to remember. I have a newsletter that you can sign up for, which coming out this month, I was a part of a Christmas collection with some other romance writers. So there's a free Christmas collection coming out this month. So if you sign up, you'll get it for free in your inbox, which is great. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kelsey, for joining us today. And thank you for everyone that's watching this. I will put the links to her website in the description so you can go and sign up to get that collection because I know you want it. And as always, never stop reading.